If you've yet to see this episode of Charlotte, I really recommend you stop what you're doing and go watch the episode, because it is pretty damn good. It was a really good episode, and probably one of the best episodes of the series. And so, now that I've said that, let's get into the weekly anime review of Charlotte. So, with this episode, we have a lot of dark shit going on in this episode. For one, just to quickly go over some of them, you have it to where now she's strapped up, she's declothed, and all you see is her in a bra and panties, and it looks like she's about to get raped. You have it to where we have a death at the end of the episode, you have it to where an eye gets cut, and also a shoulder gets stabbed, along with getting to see just other different things like a mental breakdown, other issues really going on in this episode. So this was a very intense episode of Charlotte with a lot of content that I think everybody is really going to enjoy. And if you like Charlotte and you've loved its slow, gradual build-up along with some of its intense moments these past few episodes, you're definitely going to love this episode, and you're probably going to fangasm. I can already see it now, and I have to admit, I was pretty fucking hyped when I was watching this episode. But there is a couple things I really need to talk about. First thing, let's talk about the general plot of this episode. So the main issue of the episode, like the main, I guess, plot going on, is that you have this group, this, organization that, as we already know, has kind of been introduced for the past couple episodes, different scientist organizations that want ability users, and they want to be able to harness these ability users, manipulate them, and probably experiment on where they can have more of these abilities in different people. Pretty much, standard corrupt human bullshit where, humans want to mess with people and then fuck over their entire lives. That's kind of what the main plot with this episode was. This organization coming in and kind of blackmailing the driver that drives around everybody, important head honchos of our organization, and causing it to where we have the aftermath at the end of this episode. Before I dive into that, though, I want to talk about a couple things that were revealed at the beginning of the episode. We finally come to find out why the series is called Charlotte. Yeah. Finally, the name is revealed. Now, I've already seen a couple of the pictures a couple of you Chibits have sent me. I've seen the pictures that some of you Chibits have sent me that have it to where the first initial of all the ability users that we have seen, like our main casting characters, like Time Leap, Collapse, and stuff like that, all of our main ability users, if you take their first initial and arrange them in a certain way, you can actually spell out the title of this series, Charlotte. Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen a couple links from you Chibits, which was kind of fucking crazy, so I do give props to the writers for that. But also, we come to find out the reason why the series is named Charlotte is because of space, or to be exact, a comet in space, Charlotte. And there has been subtle hints at this because of space being mainly one of the main themes in the ending song, if you look closely, and then other different references to space throughout the series. And so, yeah, I mean, the Charlotte thing, I guess it was slowly built up, and it was revealed in this episode that it was a comet that was giving some form of particle or disease, to be specific. It was giving it to children and causing it to where they gained abilities. It unlocked a certain section of the brain to where they could use abilities, and that's kind of where this all came about. And the main goal from what we could see that was introduced to us was scientists trying to figure out some form of cure that can cure this disease that causes it to where children at early stages develop this, disease or ability, and that could cause havoc to everyone around them. Which, in a sense, I think that's kind of honestly dumb in a certain way. This is kind of like the argument of X-Men in a certain way, because as you know from X-Men, you have it to where you have mutants, and then you have it to where, there's regular humans, and then there's the entire ordeal with prejudice and stuff like that, and how they think mutants are kind of a plague or a disease or abominations in certain ways. And to see it like that, I personally believe that the scientists trying to find a cure for the abilities is not honestly the best way to go about this, because even though there is some corrupt scientists and evil organizations out there that will honestly fuck over people with abilities, it's still, why would you want to limit humanity's growth if humanity is going to grow in a way to where it can have abilities? Because, yes, I know the abilities are only there in early stages of their life and they will eventually disappear, but if this particle that was given to children at early stages and it unlocked a certain segment of their brain, that means that all humans in some way, in theory, can have abilities, no matter the age, depending if you can unlock that. And so why would scientists honestly would want to stop the growth of humanity in a certain direction with something like that? It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I guess that's kind of the reason why some of the scientists were experimenting on ability users, because they want to unlock the abilities so they can always be around and not just disappear after a certain stage in life. So I guess that's kind of why the experiments are going on. But I feel like, in a certain way, if this was to be made out into the public for everybody to see, like, you know, major scientists all around the world, to the top organizations and governments, I feel like there would be a lot more backing to this, to actually do stuff like this, but who knows? Back on topic, though, getting back on to some of the things I want to talk about, let's talk about the villains. So the villains of this episode are apparently an organization that is kind of like the scientists that we've seen for the past couple episodes, and they want, you know, to gain certain ability users to experiment on. For instance, one of the main people they want is you. And you, as we know, he has a very devastating ability. He can plunder everybody, and he can steal and get all the abilities for anyone he gets inside of. And so that's kind of a devastating ability, because if they can figure out how to extract his ability and give it to others, that's pretty damn scary. So we can already see the issues with you right now, why he's so dangerous. But it's not just that, though. One thing that really stood out for me is this organization has been planning this, like, entire ordeal with you and the Time Leap brothers and stuff like that. It's been planning this out for many, many years, like a long time, since the foundation of this organization, for instance, the school. And you'd think, you know, a top secret organization like this that's kind of shady and corrupt, that has rich guys apparently backing them, because if you see in the episode, the two main villains are guys that look like they're rich, like they're very rich. And so they both look like they're very intelligent and they have a lot of money. And you'd think guys that are very rich and have a lot of money backing them and have been planning everything for so many years, for a very long time, the plan wouldn't have kind of fell apart that easy, no pun intended, with collapse in this episode. So let me really get into this before I can explain where I'm coming from. Okay, so they wanted you, and they went through blackmailing the driver because they wanted to get to you. And they know about Time Leap, they know about Collapse, they know about all these abilities, they know about Plunder, they know a lot of information. So apparently this organization is very intelligent. I mean, if you look at the episode, the way they were been planning this for many years, they've been blackmailing the driver to getting so much information from him to eventually getting it to where Pooh was by himself, and then they tortured him, gave him a truth serum, punched the fuck out of his face, his teeth fell out. They were obviously a very brutal and savage organization that knew what the fuck they were doing, and they wanted to get the shit they wanted to do. And so they knew what they were doing. They had all this preparation for that. So apparently they were very intelligent, until the point you was the focus and the villain needed to be dumb. Let me explain. Just hear me out real quick. See, one thing that would have easily have saved these villains and would have allowed them to kind of get you and not have to deal with this entire bullshit of their plan failing would be to have some form of tranquilizers. For instance, if they would have had a sniper sitting way off from the distance, outside the doorway, on top of a mountain or tree, or in a tree somewhere, and hiding, and holding a sniper with a tranquilizer, you would think that's what they would do. Because if they already know about the abilities of you that can use Collapse, he can use telekinesis, he can, you know, fly, he can get into your body, and they just sat there and wide open and allowed themselves to be kind of captured, or their bodies entered with. Like, if you was really fucked up, like really fucked up, and he was like the villain state he was a couple episodes ago, if I was you, I would have just threw them over the fucking ledge. Like, I would have just went in their body, threw them over the ledge, and got back to my body. That would have been the best way to settle that entire ordeal, if you think about it like that. So, in a way, the villains didn't really think too well when it came to you, because they would have obviously used a tranquilizer gun just to shoot him in the back, had him collapse on the floor, and they wouldn't have to go for the issue of stabbing out his eye or stabbing his shoulder. Now, I know they cut his eye because they did not want him to use the ability of Time Leap, which I can understand that. They want to neutralize that ability to where they didn't have to worry about that. But this would have all been said and fixed if they just would have, you know, shot him with the tranquilizer in the back. He would have passed out, and then they could just cut his eye, and it would have been all said and done. But the thing is, Collapse is initiated by extreme emotions. For instance, emotions that really just overcome your brain. For instance, if you were to have your eye cut, what do you think the human emotions you would have going on if your eye was just fucking cut? Most likely, you'd be in a lot of pain. At first, probably, you might not realize what's going on, but then you'll feel the pain. You'll be like, holy shit, this hurts. And that extreme amount of pain is something I don't think many would want to feel. And so, thinking about it like that, extreme emotional pain is still emotions that can go out of control and cause collapse, which we saw an example of. And then they even go along the lines of saying, like, hey, if you use your collapse, which that shows they knew about collapse, if you use collapse, which the dialogue was actually cut out from Crunchyroll, which I don't know why Crunchyroll didn't translate that, but I can assume what they were saying. They were saying, if you use collapse, Nal and Pooh are in danger. For instance, you could possibly kill them. But even then, you have it to where they continuously kind of ramp you up to where he gets emotionally unstable, because he gets stabbed in the shoulder next. And this could have all have been fixed if they would have shot him with a tranquilizer. Because if they would have shot him with a tranquilizer, they wouldn't have to worry about him going out of control and using collapse and then fucking up the entire building. He wouldn't have been able to use time leap, he wouldn't have been able to do none of that. So if you think about it like that, the villains were dumb just for you to win. And I don't know how to feel about that. See, it's very small, it's a very small thing, but I need to point that out, because the way the villains were planning this for so long, it just felt like they shouldn't have lost that easy. It doesn't. It's like, Yu was a better villain. Yu was a better villain a couple episodes back when he was just kicking the shit out of people with swag. That was badass. And he is a better villain than what these guys are. And he's our main character that's supposed to be the hero. So, now that I've said that, I made my points about how they know about collapse, and then how they should have used a tranquilizer, but they didn't. They continuously stabbed at his eye and stabbed him in the shoulder, which caused more pain, emotional imbalance, and then caused collapse. They should have been well aware of this, but they weren't. So, now that I've said that, episode of Charlotte ends off with Pooh's death. And I don't know how I feel about that, because Pooh's a very good character. I like Pooh quite a bit. He's a very good character I enjoy a lot. And his slight screen time we've had of him, I've really grown close to him. And I don't know how to feel about him kind of dying, so to say. I really hope he's not fully dead, but also I do. Because when it comes to key shows, it loves bringing characters back. That's what happened to the little sister. I mean, look at her. She got brought back because of time leap. Now, yes, I can already see it now in the comments. Some of you cheapets are going to say, well, Yu doesn't have time leap no more, so there's no way in fuck he can, you know, use time leap to fix this entire ordeal because he needs both eyes. Okay. But personally, I don't feel like that's enough. I truly believe there's going to be some form of time travel left up. I feel like something is going to get fixed because of Pooh and all that. And if it doesn't, hey, I'll fucking clap. I mean, I'm sad to see Pooh's death, but if he is indeed dead, at the very least, Key made me eat my words. So, like, fucking shovel those words up your fucking throat. Like, nope, we're not bringing him back. That happens, hey, I'll accept that. I mean, that'd be a good direction to take his character. If he did die like he did, and he died for now and all that, I'm satisfied. That's fine. Just, we'll see. We'll see how next week's episode is. Also, one last thing I want to mention. Nal's brother, once again, nowhere being seen. Like, he's not even in the picture at all. And as I pointed out at the end of my last review, Nal's brother is crazy right now. He needs to be fixed. But now, most likely, he can't be fixed because, well, Yu's probably going to have to be in the hospital for a while, which in turn might cause it to where he might not get to see the band, the singer, and then talk with her to go meet Nal's brother. So, a lot of issues right now. So, what's going to happen to Nal's brother? Is he going to just stay insane? Is he going to get fixed? Questions. So, tell me your thoughts, comments below. Y'all have a wonderful day or not, wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.